What's up, friends? These will be oracle messages where we will discuss the elements at play. I'll go back and then later do individual astrology sign messages. I hope you're looking forward to it. Like the video for me. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, and let's check in. This one is going to be the sign, or excuse me, the element of Earth. Okay, could resonate more if you're a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. Wherever you have these astrological signs in your birth chart, it may also resonate. You almost also may find in some areas of life. Right now, we're in a season of grounding, and so we need to perhaps be more practical, more technical. We need to dig a little bit deeper. This is where work, energy, effort is required. You can do it, put your back into it, if you will. And so, earth energy is going to govern it all. Earth energy also covers finances, our expenses or expenditures. It covers the things that we value in terms of like connections, my relationship to, how important this is for me to have, how important they are for me to be around or to connect with, valuable information as a resource, perhaps even some of the things that we prioritize in terms of our practices. Okay, so let's jump into it and get our messages for Earth. Okay. It looks like Earth signs, some of you could certainly be dealing with some things relating to parenting. This can be you parenting your children. This can have to do with your own parents parenting you. This can also relate to the way that you parent yourself. Okay. This is an aspect of relationship to the self that has to be its own oversight. I got to watch my own back. I have to look out for my own interest. I have to make sure that I'm steering things in the right direction. It speaks to the things that you permit. This is kind of like my partying, right? I have to make sure I'm not partying too much or doing too much or spending too much, right? Spending too much time doing something perhaps that's not of value or not important. I have to also manage my happiness. So I have to also ensure that in parenting that I'm not just being a taskmaster, that I'm also making time for the things that light me up inside, that make me happy. So you can certainly find that you're in a space of life where you're navigating the balance. Yeah, here, I want the money, money in the cars, cars in the clothes, I suppose. I just want to be successful. And sometimes the path to success is one because it is relentless, because it's never ending. We're constantly in a position where we're having to be good managers of our fun, right? Making sure that we're taking time. This is also like if you are saving, you have financial goals, you have to make sure that you are also budgeting, if you will, for, again, things for the self. Maybe it is the things that makes you happy, going out, things of that nature, okay? I see a golden egg here where I'm guided to stop. We're looking at Maripuri, the solar plexus chakra. Obviously, color yellow is associated here, talking about the seat of the soul or the house of self, one's soul mission, what brings you joy because it strengthens you from the inside out. This is ether energy, so often has to do with like God-given abilities, talents, and even your God-centric knowing, where I know this is very clear or apparent to me, and I'm sure or confident in that, because of who I am is largely what that my Maripuri chakra, being in balance, is going to illuminate. It's the areas of life where you don't mind acting independently, where it brings you joy to do this or to step up, because of what I know. You know, this is the same energy of when you tell your kids no, because as your parent, there are things you don't understand, you're not as experienced yet, you don't get it, that I get, that I understand, right? And you are confident that that's what you need to say, right? There are also those times where perhaps unexpectedly, right? I wasn't anticipating this. You end up, maybe it is doing something, it's kind of money for report cards or a celebration, You end up, maybe it is showing up in some way that makes them glad, giving attention to something perhaps that needs attention, get it to it, and they're not anticipating or expecting it, right? This could even be doing things for yourself, right? But knowing that's what I need to do, because there's something about this. This could even be energetically dropping in. I don't know, it really gives like, some of you could be tending to children's needs, but it gives like parent teacher conferences, right? Let me stop by the school, right? See what you got going on, right? See what you're doing in class. And I want to just be clear that this is going to resonate in different ways. So for some of you, this is you maybe dropping in on yourself in some area, and being glad that you did, being glad that you showed up. Sometimes this is like a spiritual drop in, if you will, where you connect with an energy in some way that you weren't expecting or anticipating to connect with, but you know, are confident or are sure of the reasons why or what you're supposed to do, right? This could be like with information. Spirit gives you a little seed or a tidbit, and you say, ooh, I know I need to get busy on that, okay? We have the rabbit here, which can sometimes indicate fear, right? Whenever we're dealing with those decisions, perhaps that we need to make independently, we can have fear, which is why I believe we're in this season of grounding, because this can sometimes be where, oh my gosh, we can be frantic. Oh, why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I do that? And we don't need to be fearful. We just need to do what? To get busy, right? To make it our business now that we're aware. I'm also picking up for some of you, there could certainly be, it could be time to have conversations about intimacy, physical interactions with your children, right? A part of parenting. And obviously that's not everyone, but for some of you, it's time to talk to your kids about what could be like flirtation, flirting around, playing around. It's giving like spin the bottle, things of that nature. And this could just be having to do with like health in that particular area. Again, being practical, about perhaps, I just heard the birds and the bees, the fact that there may be curiosity, not being fearful around that, but just making it your business to address it in a way that makes the impact with your children so that they can enjoy or indulge from a cheerful perspective versus from one that has to do with maybe being fearful of what even could be like certain things that are material, okay? For some of you, there has to do with winter of life, okay? That could be what you are recovering from or on the other side of a winter of life. It's been kind of a long winter, and I feel like this has to do with like being in the cold more so than perhaps physical climate. If that resonates for you, I feel like there could certainly be activity, a result of what could be fear of being stuck. And I feel like that's why another reason that you need to ground is because you are operating from what feels like a different point of view or space. I feel previously you may have been doing this from a scarcity mindset, and it kind of had you in this, I just heard, I'm going to get you, right? Which could be like an out to get you space or worrying about if someone was out to get you. I feel like you're operating from a much better place now that has to do with knowing your capabilities, knowing your skills, and being grateful perhaps to share them with others. I feel more of an energy of readiness now. And to tap into that and remain rooted in that, it's going to be important that you are grounded in all it is that you have to do. I do sense some busyness coming in, okay, as I see the official person. So I definitely feel like you have plenty to do. You don't need to be afraid. You don't need to be fearful. You just need to, what feels like, step up and do it. And I feel like you will be glad that you did, okay? Nothing is coming out from this particular deck, which is okay. I see message of concern, okay? Are you giving one? Are you receiving one? I feel like either way, as the parent, you're knowing how to handle this, okay? So if a concern needs to be expressed, I definitely feel that you're doing a good job of knowing whether or not it's for you to be involved, to get involved, how much to get involved, right? All an aspect of parenting, knowing perhaps if it's a teachable moment, an opportunity for you to teach, right? Whether yourself, others, whether your parents, or whether or not you're teaching by learning, which is applying the lesson. If you haven't joined us on A Course in Miracles, tap the link in the description and join us there. What we've learned in that course is that we do teach by learning. When we apply the lesson, it's a demonstration of the fact that we're learning the lesson, because we are never really certain of what has been learned until it has been applied. And so we teach even ourselves by learning, and learning by the application of the information that has been gained. And I feel like in whatever regard, you are actively doing that. So I feel like you're constantly learning as a result. So when concerns come up, I definitely feel like you're going back to the lesson. If you learned of a concern, or I was afraid of that, or I didn't mean for that to happen, it has you going back. It feels reteaching, retraining, relearning yourself, gaining knowledge or information from whatever that is, so that you're not fearful, but so that you know how to apply it in whatever sense that it applies. Trip down memory lane. Now is the time to clear outmoded ways of being, thinking, and feeling. Okay, this could indicate that there are some things coming back up from your past. Okay, and it could be that there are things that need to be taken care of, right? These could be people coming back from the past, situations, circumstances. Sometimes this is where we were reliant on, or we're focused on things that were not real, right? This could be, I want attention, right? But that could be attention that we're trying to get based or rooted in a scarcity mindset, fearing loss, right? And you may be in a position where those fears are being redirected. You don't need to be fearful of losing. You don't need to do all of this because you have fear of losing. Let not your heart be troubled. And that's what I feel like, that's the space that you're in. Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. And this is realizing that that same power that is in God, if you will, that you pray to, is also in you. Look at this, at the split, consolation and fortune. You have that same energy. You have that same life force. You have that same power that is at work within you, because it created you. By virtue of you being the created, you also have the creator's power that has been vested to you. And so some of you, as you realize that, you diminish the separation. This is why y'all need to join us on A Course in Miracles, because these are all thought techniques that we are literally teaching and learning. But you diminish the separation between you and God enough to see yourself as literally the light of God at work in the earth. So when concerns come up, you don't have fear. You recognize that you're actually the answer. You're actually the solution. Your life experience has actually prepared you for this. And the more grounded you are, the more secure you are in who you are and what it is that you're meant to do. You recognize when these things come up, whether from the past or whether they're memories of things that you've already been through, you'll recognize the things that are important, right? The world needs parented in this area. I needed someone to show me in this area. And so basically, a lot of times these things will come up so that you will recognize the reasons that you went through what you went through were to console you in this area. But also, some of you, this is businesses. These are opportunities because of the fact that this is to console you. It's also going to make a living for some of you, right? It's going to bring out perhaps your greatest wealth and treasure, and not just in yourself, but the world needs you. It's going to bring out the most valuable aspects, the best parts of the world at large and others. So we don't have to fear, we don't have to worry. We can pass that peace on to others so that they don't have to as well, knowing that they're in good hands, that they're being taken care of. They're being consoled because perhaps of the fortune that lies in you. And with whatever this trip down memory lane is, whether you're going it or someone else is, you could be parenting, like I said, or be being parented. This is a step that the world needs to take. And whenever we're in a position where we have our own fears, or others that we're dealing with are in a position where they're fearful, when we receive that message of concern, we will be grounded enough to recognize I can either be someone else's consolation, be my own consolation, or in some way another person will come along and will offer us the consolation that we need, that is very valuable, so that we tap into our fortune, our greatest wealth, right? The seed of our soul, that illumination that helps us to be exactly who it is that we know we need to be, so that our ego doesn't create separation from that and potentially even work against us, so that it keeps us from being able to see things clearly, causes us to miscreate, and causes us to get into things or experience fears that never would have been, but were created solely in our minds. Okay? Wow. I love when I see that consolation in that fortune card, because it tells me that right now, as you're grounding, taking the steps to be, it feels like digging deeper into you. There's something that is coming, in case you didn't know, that is going to console you and let you know it was important for you to dig that deeply into yourself or into a certain situation, because this is going to give you an immense amount of peace, a tremendous amount of peace in knowing that it was worth it for you to do this. Okay. I feel like you're getting something. This feels like an energetic consolation prize, which for some of you, it can be like money. If there's something, some sort of finances that you're getting, this can be an energetic consolation prize. Could be you're getting some sort of a resource, whether it's a person, whether it's information. There's something that you're getting and that's giving you peace, perhaps having to do with your past, right? If you think about being a victim of anything, if you've gone through something and then you get through it, a lot of times that mess that you went through then becomes your message. And it feels as though there could be some aspect of that at play in your life, where with parenting, you parented yourself or someone else through some sort of situation, and something that's taking place is giving you peace with whatever it is that you had to learn or to grow through, because you're now creating from it. And whatever those creations are that you're making, even if this is what you're manifesting, even if this is what you are making of the circumstances that are before you, something's coming in that's proving that whatever it is that you had to do or to go through was worthwhile. You learned the lesson, because whatever's taking place on the other side of that, the results are, it feels like giving, the results are very valuable, and it's giving you the peace that you need. It feels like that makes some aspect of whatever you maybe have been parenting, working, or learning through, teaching through, right, makes that worthwhile. So I definitely feel like something's coming through is being very worthwhile for you. You either are learning a lot, right, through what you've applied, or you're gaining a lot. Okay, so definitely feeling the energy of lots of gains, but I feel like you had to be fearless in order to achieve success in whatever it is that I feel like you're endeavoring now. Intuition is here. Okay, so this is where earth energy and intuition are not necessarily your traditional pair. So you're being spirit led in terms of ways to ground, when to ground, what it is that you need to do in terms of grounding. And I feel like that's really the message of concern, because I feel like some of you, you're used to work, 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 work. And I feel like your intuition may be at a place where it's leading you to what feels like a back doorway to success. That could mean you're not working. That's the way of the past, the model of the past, that's based or rooted in fear. And I feel like this has you more in a position where With the Lovers card, you could be operating more so in a support role where you are just offering support, help, assistance, partnership. I'll be with you, right? If you're feeling some type of way, you could be like a caregiver, taking care of children, right? Where there is kind of like this inner child energy that may be feeling a little bit vulnerable, you may be the person that's simply giving attention to that. I'm going to advocate for your vulnerabilities. That might be where you're coming through as most helpful right now, and where spirit is bringing you in your fortune. Sometimes that fortune is that you get to keep your energy, whether you get to keep your money, whether you get to conserve time, whether it doesn't really take a whole lot out of you. That could be your fortune, where this is really simple. This is really easy for you to do. And so you don't end up giving away all of your time. You conserve your time and you still get some sort of a resource, is what it feels like. So I feel like you're finding some sort of way to accomplish something. But this is definitely, you're going a unique path to get there. And it's one that you had to teach yourself, to learn yourself, by applying yourself. I don't feel like this is one that you were necessarily taught. So I feel it derived from a place where you may have initially been fearful, but I definitely don't feel you have that fear anymore. Now I feel like your business has to do with creating from some of those things, perhaps that cause fears. And because you decided to go that path, initially not knowing, I definitely feel though now knowing, remembering, perhaps even how it felt to go that way, you are now in a position where your ability to be able to console others and even console yourself if you reach a new space, that kind of brings up some of that past fear that may have been had. It feels like the new space that you're in, you're actually at peace and you're realizing how valuable it is for you to be at peace and how much more you're able to achieve by you teaching yourself, parenting yourself, and accepting the consolation that is the peace that allows you, it feels like, to dig deeper and to achieve what feels like some level that you've not achieved before. Okay, definitely feel like you're getting deeper into yourself than you have been. I see the pathway card and I get an energy of clearing. I feel like you are creating your own ways. I definitely feel like there's a door or a path that is opening for you. Okay, so I definitely feel like you're going to, I feel like whatever's coming in to console you is going to make you feel better, because it definitely feels like it's transformation. The way in which you are being consoled is one that is a brighter outlook. This feels like it's going to challenge or rival your past, because in the past, like I said, if there was a fear-based way of thinking, this time around, you're not thinking from a place of fear. So you're actually going to begin to see some things open up that actually are valuable. I literally just heard treasure chest. Any of you have been with me for a period of time, you already know I've talked about the 4 archetypes of a woman. And one of the archetypes of a woman that has to do with being more of a businesswoman, planning for the future, long-term wealth, things like that, home and family, taking care of business, is the treasure chest. And it comes at a time of life, usually, I'll say around mid-30s, 40s, something of that nature. But when you get into that mode, you're very protective of the things that are valuable, which could be reputation. It could be, obviously, like I said, long-term finances, assets, things of that nature, right? I believe the children are future. So this could certainly be a focus around children, speaking of parenting, but you're seeing those things that are important as most important. And I feel like you're definitely feeling consoled, because as you better understand these things from the perspective that you sit in now, the point of view that you have now, you're realizing just how valuable they are, both to you, as yourself, but also to perhaps your children, to the world, and realizing this is important. Everyone needs to know this. And I definitely feel like it's opening up a brighter time of life. So enjoy this. I definitely believe it's something that you've had to work very hard to get to. And I feel a big part of the work has been to overcome the fear associated with past memories of things maybe that didn't work out. past memories of a time when you were not as confident and sure of yourself. You didn't know your inner light in the way that you do now. It gives me the impression that that solar plexus chakra was not in alignment. It was either underactive or it was overactive, which could make you extremely arrogant, extremely self-centered, feeling like you know it all, have all the answers, and perhaps that's in some areas. And it can also make you underactive, where you lack confidence, you have low self-esteem, and that could be a low sense of self-worth. You discredit your own voice. And if that was the case once upon a time, you would maybe allow others to dictate your actions, to control your moves, perhaps even based on fear of what they would think, fear of them not providing resources that they provided for you. And I feel like you're not operating from that space anymore. You have peace, you are consoled, you have your own voice, you have your own ear. And because that's most valuable to you, you know that there is nothing to fear. That's what you've learned, and that everything that you need, if there is a loss, it will be consoled. There's going to be something greater that you're going to gain out of it. It will be rectified. It will be justified. Guys, this is what I have for you, Earth signs, for your messages. Heavy on the grounding. And I feel like for some of you, it's because you're showing up and you're showing up fearless. And because of that, what it's doing is bringing in what feels like resources. So some of you, there's money coming in, there's opportunity coming in. It's a lane opening up literally just for you, and you're going to make a fortune in whatever this lane or path is. The spirit has you going in. This could certainly have to do with the past. Some of you could be talking about your story, the things that you've been through, the things that you've learned based on what you've been through. No longer afraid is what it feels like, and now ready for the successes attached with the experiences that you've had, what you've had to recover from, what you've had to heal from. And it feels like it's going to in some way secure you. That's what I have for you. Like, share, subscribe. Be sure to check out the other elemental signs and check us out on our other platforms linked below. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.